My Gavana Melanin. So today's video is going to be all about how can you tell if you have elven wisdom. Some people are born with it naturally, and some people actually awaken into it. I myself was born into it naturally, so some of these things that I am going to speak about are things that will occur to you within your childhood and something that you do as a child. But there are some things that will start to come into your life as an adult or later on as you develop your consciousness levels and you really start to get more in touch and in tune with who you truly are and your soul deep inside. So how can you tell if you have elven wisdom? And how can you tell if you are developing it? There are two different ways that I would categorize elven wisdom in general. Elven wisdom has two parts to it. It has the physical world, where you are born with an innate ability to understand the physical world and you can work with the physical reality around you. And then the other side of elven wisdom is the spiritual or the immaterial or energetic world. So I'm going to first talk about the physical. So number one, you just understand things about nature. It's just something innately inside of you. This is something that you can be born with as a child, or this is something that you develop later on. But most of the times, an elven soul will have this already in them as a natural gift and ability to know about plants, know about different flowers, know about different animals. Anything that is in nature, you will have a good sense of understanding already within you. Whereas some people, they might have to learn more about it and they might have to actually do some studying and some research. But you will just kind of know things and you don't really know where they come from, but you know how to tell the difference between, a fern and another type of plant. You know how to tell the difference between different trees. You just know these types of things within you. You understand what different species of animals need and different ways and behaviors that they act like. This type of knowledge is just really innately within you. So that is a really big part of being an elf, is having that type of wisdom within so that you can better understand the earth and what its needs are, and also help to show others and inspire others as well. Number two, you can sense when Mother Nature is off. You just have this connection to the weather and to the elements. So when you notice that there's been a lot of storms, there's been a lot of different types of natural disasters, you will have that sense. Like, you don't have to watch the news. You actually can just sense when there's a big storm somewhere in the world or when there's a hurricane. Every time that there were hurricanes, I've always had kind of a sense before they happened. And then I would watch the news and then I would say, oh yes, well that makes sense while I was feeling this way. It's because I was so connected to the water element itself that I sensed when things were off in the world. So elves will have that. If you have an elven soul, you'll just be naturally connected to the weather. You can tell when it's going to rain. You can look at the sky and know when it's not going to rain. And it's really a sense, an intuitive sense that goes a little bit beyond just having an understanding of science and the way that weather works. It's about being in tune with the collective of the nature elements and being aware of how those elements work. And so it's very easy for an elven soul to be able to predict the weather. The next type of sense that you might have is being able to sense the energies within elements. So fire, earth, wind, water. You can actually sense these energies within people, within places, within events. And this is an abstract idea that if you are not an elven soul or not connected to the nature elements, and even witches and pagans and those who are really connected to nature, they will have this type of sense as well. But this is about you being able to know when something has too much fire within it or too much water elements within it. And you'll know how to delicately move them into balance. This is just some kind of wisdom that an elven soul carries. And I believe that it's in order to help bring harmony and balance back to the world. So this is why you have that ability, naturally so. You'll be able to actually sense within yourself too when things are off in terms of the elements. And I'll get more into that when we get more into the spiritual side of this type of elven wisdom. But you can definitely sense when there's elements within different parts of reality. And this kind of goes more into the spiritual realm of things, but I am leaving it in the physical implications because elements are physical: water, air, fire. They're physical, but they are also energetic as well. So they have that dual purpose within an elven soul's reality. Number 4, you can just intuitively understand the technologies and the different types of inventions that would help the earth. So you are very aware of what is going to help heal the earth, what's going to be better for the earth versus what's going to not. So you are very much into eco-sustainability and different types of ways where you can just reuse and recycle and also use the natural type of energy sources such as the wind, the water, the sun. You might be very much into that, and you might have a good grasp and a knowledge of how that stuff works. Whereas some other souls, they might just not think about that. So those are types of wisdoms that an elven soul will carry naturally inside, is how can they use advanced technology in order to incorporate into this world that we have today, and how can it make sure that it benefits all of nature around, and it's a way of coexisting with nature rather than harming it or adding to more pollutants and also taking away from the natural resources without replenishing. So you'll have that type of wisdom within. The next type of physical wisdom is you know how to heal the earth or what animals need to help heal. So as a child, I used to take in sick and injured animals all the time, and I used to try to heal them and just bring them back into health. And sometimes I wouldn't even bring them home, but I would keep them in a kind of a nice enclosed area outside, and I would go and visit it every day and just make sure that they were doing okay and watching them heal. And this is something that I think comes very naturally to an elven soul. You'll just know what it is that will help heal animals as well as heal others, such as humans, because you know what needs a person has or a person is needing at the moment, and you know what best will help their situation. So you very much are a healer soul as an elven soul. Healing arts is something that has always been related to the elves in folk tales and in legends. If you're not talking about, of course, the little mischievous ones that play tricks, the elves are the ones that can heal. Fairies grant wishes, but elves will heal. They physically know how to use the plants and the herbs and things like that to heal others. And they also know how to heal them just through their energy and just through using their elven light. So if you are someone who has naturally born elven wisdom, or if you are gaining it, you will start to develop the wisdom of how best to heal others, and you will start to increase that power within. Number 6, so I already talked about this, but your art of healing extends not just to the earth and to animals and how to heal plants and the trees around you, and having kind of what they call a green thumb where you can make things grow, but actually then it extends over to your fellow human beings and your fellow other types of souls that identify as something else. You'll know how best to heal them. And so the art of healing extends from both nature and animals into the human nature as well. Number 7, you can laugh at the cosmic jokes that you sense in life. You even laugh at yourself at times. elves and fairies have this particular ability to laugh things off. There's no coincidence why a lot of stories about elves and fairies are about joy and laughter and dancing and singing through all late hours of the night. Laughter is a medicine, and it's something that definitely cures so many ailments within the emotional body. And a lot of the physical problems that we have are also connected to the emotional body. So you will know how to use laughter. You will just be very quick to laugh. You'll have a good sense of comedic knowledge, because that is what gives the comic relief that people need. That is a form of medicine and is a form of healing. So a lot of elven and fairy souls are very good with laughter, especially fairy souls and different types of elven souls. Laughter is a wonderful tool used in the fairy realms as well in other parts of the universe as well as on Earth. Laughter is the other side of tragedy. It is one of the most vital moments in life. And so elven and fairy souls will indeed have this type of innate knowledge about comedy. And I believe that that's what the elves and the fairies can also bring, is this comedy to the great tragedies that we have in life, so that we have that nice balance on earth. So that is a huge type of wisdom that people are either born with or they simply just have it and develop it later on in a more profound way. But, I'm not a comedian on my channel as much, but there's definitely a huge silly comedian side to me. And I know that laughter is key to many issues within my own life, and I have seen it heal others. Why do you think people go on YouTube just to watch silly cat videos? Because it is a way of healing themselves from the pain and the suffering in their lifetime. When they experience a bad situation, I wouldn't say that it's healthy to laugh in that very moment in time, but later on, in hindsight, looking back, you can laugh. And you can also watch videos and read stories and watch movies to actually get you out of depression and the type of lower consciousness levels that we get into when we forget our true self and our true power. Laughter will immediately uplift you and bring you to the higher consciousness realms. So that truly is a part of elven wisdom and fairy wisdom that some people are just born with naturally, and some people get later on more and more. And I would say that that is one of the key joys of being on the elven light path is laughter. It's joy, it's bliss, it's fun. There are so many things that I laugh at daily now, and I can assure you that when you walk on the elven path and you become more elven-like, you will find more joy and laughter in everyday life. Number 8 type of wisdom is harmony wisdom. Knowing what is going to bring harmony to a group or to your fellow beings is huge. You just instinctively know what will cause fights and discord versus what's going to lead to more compromise, more understanding, and more healing. This is a big part of elven wisdom. It's basically why elven souls and fairy souls are here, is in order to bring harmony. There's been many years of discord. There's been many years of fighting and arguing and hurting one another. That it's time that we bring in the days of laughter and harmony and joy. And that is truly what elven souls will have a good grasp of wisdom within, knowing what is going to bring harmony to others and what is going to bring discord. And even though they might make a mistake and bring discord without even intentionally trying to, they'll still know how to correct it, how to allow a person to have the feelings that they need to feel. You just understand others very well, so you understand what's going to bring harmony to them as well as what's going to bring discord. One of the things that bothers me most about humanity is when I hear of situations that I just know instinctively is going to lead to bigger fights, bigger wars, more conflict. The elven wisdom that I was born with has shown me that there's always other ways. There's always other compromise. There's always smarter, more intelligent type of ways of actually dealing with problems and not escalating them to a level where it's almost unsolvable. You can't even begin to unravel all of the knots and the messes that people make. Elven wisdom is to have this ability to know what's going to cause conflict and what's going to help resolve conflict and what's going to bring harmony rather than discord. And Tolkien wrote that about his elves, that indeed they were kind of the keepers of harmony on Middle Earth. And that's why Galadriel created the White Council in the Third Age, was in order to make sure that they can bring forth that harmony element more and be wise counsels to those that are in need of it and can't figure out their conflicts in a way that would allow them to have that harmony. And number 9, a physical type of wisdom that elves would have is having this knowledge about the celestial bodies and understanding how they relate to the world events and to people, and just understanding how the universe works in that way, that it works a little bit like on a clock way. And this is both physical wisdom and this is also energetic and immaterial wisdom, because you have one element where it is the celestial bodies that do move around in the universe and they do influence the way that Earth is then going through a certain phase, and people are going through certain stages in their lives, and they are born with certain types of vibrations and frequencies. But then there's this other type of energetic, spiritual type of way where it influences the emotional body of those on Earth. And it influences the emotional body and energy field of events on Earth. So elves will definitely be in tune with the stars and the planets, as well as to nature on Earth, because the stars and the planets and the celestial bodies are part of nature. So all elements of nature, elves are going to be very much in tune with. Okay, so let's get into the spiritual aspect of elven wisdom. Number 1, you will have this intuitive understanding about the way how the universe works in a clockwork type of fashion, in the idea that it has laws that are set in order to be self-regulating and self-sustaining. And so the celestial bodies will determine when a certain star or a certain planet is actually aligned to certain souls that are born on Earth. That is going to allow that soul to have a particular vibration and frequency that is related to the collective understanding, and I mean the collective, the universal understanding of that particular planet or element. And maybe not even the universal understanding, but the collective understanding of humanity at least. So that is how astrology works. There is a collective story that everybody knows deep down inside, and it's connected to planets, it's connected to stars. So when you have a particular birth chart that you are born with, you are going to be infused with those energies. That is what keeps allowing the universe to send out unique and different types of souls. And this is so to make sure that there is nobody like you, and that there are so many different infinite combinations of souls. Because even though there are millions of Pisces, not one single Pisces is alike, because your birth chart will be different due to the time of the birth that you were born at, and the different location you were born in, and exactly the location of the stars and the planets aligned to your particular birth. So that is really how astrology works. It is a universe on a clockwork type of machinery, although it's not a machine as we would think. It's a natural, organic type of machine. Number 2, you will intuitively understand a deeper connection to all things within the universe. Many elven souls and elven beings that are either alien or are earthly always have this thing in common. You always feel very connected to everything around you, whether it is to the trees, to the bugs, to the birds, and mankind is included in that. So you will have a sense that you belong to one big organism and that we're all moving together as one. The tree of life. To elves, the tree of life is key. It's symbol for exactly how life is and how connected we all are, and we're all part of the same branches from one big tree. And so it's, I think, a very big part of elven wisdom to have this ability to just feel connected to everything, and that leaks into your physical life as well. Because if you spiritually and energetically feel connected to everything, well, then your physical life is going to show that as well. You're going to connect deeper with people around you. You're going to connect with animals. You're going to connect with nature. It's just a part of you. It's who you are. You have that element of wisdom within you that allows you to understand the deeper connections to all things within the entire universe. So you'll feel connection to other alien beings, you'll feel connection to everything, and you'll feel connection to your fellow mankind that don't exude these types of elven qualities or elven wisdom, but you'll still feel deeply connected to them because you know that you've just come from a different branch from the great tree of life. Number 3, you'll understand the concept of spirit animals and the symbols and the abstract ideas that are surrounded by different animals. Each animal, like each soul on earth, has a different vibration and frequency to it. And this will determine the symbol that they take to the collective story that plays out. So spirit animals is something that you will just innately understand. You will know who your spirit animals are, or you'll start to develop a closer connection to them as you age and as you reawaken into your elven nature. You will also just be able to look at a person and see their spirit animal. You will know what kind of animal represents them and what symbol of animal that they connect to, and that really describes who they are. So spirit animals is definitely a part of elven wisdom. Number 4, you have a good grasp and concept of emotions and understanding them, including your own as well as others. So elven wisdom is a bit of having a good sense of psychology and understanding the way that the inner mind works. So there is a lot of examples in this within Tolkien's writings. Galadriel always knew what people were thinking, and so this part of having elven wisdom is something that you're born with, but it also develops in you later on as you go through your life. It gets stronger. And I believe that it is part of the idea that elven and fairy souls are here to bring harmony. So what more would they need? They would have to understand the way that people work so that they can help bring healing to others. And so they would have a deep, profound understanding of psychology and the way that emotions work. So that is definitely part of elven wisdom. Number 5, they can sense unseen fairy energies and elemental energies around. So they would have an innate understanding of the way that fairies work and the fairy realm works and the different types of creatures. So they're unseen type of beings, but you have this innate knowledge and wisdom. One of the examples I give is I was always kind of born with this wisdom to understand the different types of fairy creatures. And one of them that I've been really connected to is the blue fairy. And the blue fairy I wrote a blog about, and it just was all this downloaded information. It wasn't really downloaded from anywhere. It was coming from my past memories. I was reawakening to what I know about the fairy realm and what I understand about those consciousness and realms of light. And so that is a big part of it. Elven and fairy souls that are in human vessels will always have an innate understanding about the fairy energy, whether it be earthly fairy energy or whether it be other planetary fairy energy, because of course there are galactic fairy beings all over the universe, and they represent the elves and the fairies and different types of creatures and things like that. And you will have this innate type of wisdom and understanding of them, and you'll just sense them, and you'll understand the way that the fairyland laws work and the kingdoms that they have and the different types of ways that the different creatures actually live and their different types of conscious levels. And you just have this plethora of information from the fairy realm, and you have it in order to kind of harness it and bring it to earth, because we have a lot of different types of souls here. And so all of the varieties of different fairy energy within the universe is something that we're starting to see on earth. So you'll have that type of wisdom, and it's fun. It brings in a little element of fantasy and fairyland to earth. So that's why you have that wisdom in you, and you're born with it. Number 6, you are also in touch with the angelic realms as well. So the fairy realm is separate from the angel realm, but they are connected. The fairy realm has spirits within it that mainly choose a good path, because when they choose a negative or darker path to manipulate and to hurt humans, then they go into another path and they become more demon-like. There's an old tale. Maybe I'll read it to you one day on a video. There's an old tale, it's like a poem, and it's all about a demon that was bothering a little girl. And he was like, I'm so tough, I'm so scary, I'm so tough, I'm so scary. And the little girl, she was connected to the fairy realm, and she just looked at him and she's like, you're not tough. You're not scary. I'm not scared of you. And her kindness then transformed this little demon actually into a realization that he was not a demon, that he was an elf. And then the ending of the story is that he becomes an elf instead of a demon. And that is kind of the difference. So the fairy realm will have lots of creatures within it, but most of the creatures within fairy realm are of the lighter consciousness, and they are of the angelics. The angelics are separate in the idea that they represent in the collective story the messengers of Prime Source, and they have a particular mission and they have a particular focus. And then the fairy realm, they have a particular mission and a particular focus. So they have different missions and different focuses, but they are from the same team for the creation and bringing forth and helping assist humanity. But you can tell the difference between the two. And if you are an elven or fairy soul, you will feel easily connected to the angelic realm as well. So you might have information within you about the angels. And so this is something that I think is born within you, but also develops as you get older, it becomes stronger. Because the fairy realm and the angelic realm is right next door to each other. They just symbolize and represent different parts of the light consciousness of the prime source that we all come from. But they have different ways of getting the messages across and maybe the work done. And last but not least, you will have a good understanding of magic. Natural type of magic, the magic that Tolkien wrote that the elves had. You'll understand how light and dark energies play out and how different types of density of energies are in the world, and you'll understand very much how to make your own will and intentions create what it is that you wish to see. And this is something that might develop in you as an elven soul gets older, because when you're first born and you come into your childhood, you might have a little bit of sense of magic. You might be really into magic. You might be very connected to the idea of having magical powers. But then as you get older, you start to awaken into how you can develop your magical gifts and abilities. And you start to understand magic in a really deep, profound way. It might lead you onto several spiritual paths. It might lead you into the occult. It might lead you into practicing magic yourself. But an elven soul will innately have an understanding of magic in the way that energy works and how it moves, and how you can use your own energy to create what you wish to experience. And you also have a good understanding of what to do with magic and what not to do with magic. Because magic is a neutral force, and the way that you wield it and the way that you use it really determines who you become as a soul. So elven souls are very careful not to become corrupted and tainted in using their magic in a way that maybe a different type of person might, such as maybe somebody who was trying to become a sorcerer. And so elf magic is very natural. Tolkien was right in the idea that the magic that an elf will do is not so much based in rituals and calling on different types of spirits to help you, but it is really coming from the elf soul being so connected to everything in the universe that it just starts to naturally happen within your life, that you start to just instantly kind of manifest what it is that you're looking at and what you're focusing and your intention is towards. So elven magic is something definitely that is a part of elf wisdom, and it will develop in you the older that you get. And the more that you focus on cultivating it and growing it within you, you will definitely see an increase in your magical abilities and skills. So I hope that this helped you understand a little bit more about elven wisdom and how you can tell if you are developing it within you or if you have always had it within you. And this is a great way of just being able to harness what was given to you at birth, but also to know that this is something you can cultivate. If you are interested in developing more elven wisdom, then focus on these topics that I've talked about. Learn about the celestial bodies more. Increase your knowledge and understanding about psychology and emotions and how it works with the consciousness levels. Increase your understanding about animals and nature and the connection that we all have. There are so many articles, scientific and also more of the spiritual science type of articles out there, where they are discovering more and more evidence that we are really connected to nature far more than we understand. And plants talk to one another, and trees, they have a whole root system underneath the ground and they communicate to one another. And that's very much how humans are as well. So we represent a part of nature, and nature represents a part of us, and we see that reflection. And that's why Gandhi had that famous quote saying, and he had a bit of a fairy soul within him for sure, saying that nature often reflects human nature because this is how it works. We have very much the same characteristics and the same type of abilities as nature does. It's just when humans turn it off and they focus on the material world and not so much the spiritual or energetic world, they forget about it. And then all that becomes more important to them is the seeking for money and status and wealth and fame. And these are things that are good to have, but they have to be in balance with the spiritual and the energetic world as well. and certainly to be more connected to nature, because when nature goes, we all go. So Elven wisdom is all about combining the elements of the higher consciousness realms with nature, and understanding that nature represents those higher consciousness realms. So I hope this gave you more clarity. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. I do offer personal one-on-one Skype sessions, and that is all in my About section if you would like to know if you do have Elven wisdom and fairy energy within you. I can tell almost immediately when I meet people if they do have that. So I would be happy to give you a little boost on that path so that you can develop your gifts and your abilities far more. Hen and Lei for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.